Hello. You all know these things get all tangled up. But waiting on David to get here and make sure I have good audio. Um, I think we have him coming on board now. Maybe. Aha, I think we have him. And it says he's adding, so here he comes. Connecting,
Um,
and there he goes.
how about just regular cheese? You add bacon to it.
He's ordering food.
Okay. I'm sorry, American.
No, you're fine. American cheese and
Yeah, that's
bacon,
fine.
and then cooked medium.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Do you want to do chips or upgrade to fries?
Fries is good. I don't want any mayonnaise.
It won't be on
He's
there.
always
Shut
eating
up.
when we do
Okay.
this. So
All
today
right.
we're
I'll go ahead
doing
and get this
lunch
started.
and not
Okay.
breakfast.
Let me see. You got onion,
Sure, I can add onion.
raw is red onion.
Hmm.
Yeah, good. Raw red onion. That's good.
Okay, I'll get it started.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Raw red onion.
I enjoy it. I'm not kissing anybody, so we're good. Thank
Praise
God.
Lord. Hallelujah. Jesus'
Hallelujah.
name.
So we got a heavy topic today, Marvin.
Yeah, and you know what?
I want to jump right
I
in.
I'm going to I'm going to get this book edited this week. I've got to get this book edited this week. I keep putting it off, but I'm hoping this topic right here will inspire me to go
I
ahead and
I think it will. I mean, masculinity and femininity is a big issue in our community. And when I say community now, I'm talking about the church community and
Oh,
specifically
I
the
thought you were
African
talking
American.
about the globe because I think it's an issue globally, not
Oh,
just in the church.
you must
Yeah,
be right.
it's a big deal in the church. But I think the question I would have, and this may be a hard question, is the church leading out or is the church following?
Yeah, the church is reacting.
I'll
It's
do
reacting.
red onion until
So
our produce truck gets here, but I have some grilled onions. Would that be okay?
I don't know.
No
No,
onion at all? Okay, I apologize for that.
it's okay. Yeah. The church is reacting. It's reaction. For example, uh, I fear that there will be a day when we will have someone of some credibility to come up with a biblical reason to justify homosexual relationships. Even if they couch it in the terms of saying that, well, as long
you
as
see
it's
my face? You
yeah,
see
yeah,
the
yeah.
look that I have?
I know.
Okay.
But as long, I mean, but they'll couch it in the terms of saying they'll say something like, as long as it's monogamous and it's this, that, the third. Then then they'll throw the old fashioned, you know, love is love crap in there, and it's gonna happen, and
So
we're
you
gonna
know,
deal with it.
I have I have a colleague that's of a different Reformation,
Hmm.
of a European descendant Reformation,
All right.
and their stance is basically that they can be, but they must be abstinent.
Abstinent. Right. Yeah.
And so when I asked the question, I said, okay, how does that really work?
Right.
And there was this loop around the circle that was this non-answer answer.
Right.
Um, and I said, okay, so let me make sure I understand this. This person maintained their ordination.
Mm-hmm.
This person was able to function.
Mm-hmm.
This person worked with children, adults, all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
But in the context of I think they had to sign a document even that
Mm-hmm.
to verify or validate that they
We're celibate.
understood that they
Yeah.
were celibate.
Yeah.
Now, I'm okay. So, first of all, this person was living with someone who was the same gender.
Mm-hmm.
And um, they're like, oh, we just live in separate parts of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, so my question was, so there's no problem? He's like, no, because long as we're abstinent. I'm like, so who's the checker for that? Who's the person that verifies that fact? And they just looked at me like, why are you asking? Because to me, that's what it came across as, is kind of a don't ask, don't tell.
Right.
And I said all of that to say is that I'm not really sure um, if I can see how that trail works
Mm-hmm.
in the more conservative denominations like our own. I would dare say, I want to say we are a conservative denomination, but I think we have over the years become quite lenient um, on a lot of stuff. We're quite lenient. And so I think you might be right. I think it's just potentially on the table because our culture is becoming androgynous.
Mm. Mm. That's a whole different problem right there. But that's definitely the issue.
But they're all tied together.
Yeah, exactly. They're all tied together. They're all tied together. And I think when we started addressing issues of sexuality and sexualization of the culture, we're gonna have to kind of come to some agreements that we're not there yet. You know what? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take this cheese off of here, but um, you know, we're gonna have to come to some conclusions that we're not ready to come to yet, and that those conclusions are gonna be very hurtful. Um,
For whom?
uh, for us, we're gonna have to be honest with ourselves about about losing political connections, about losing the favor of secular persons. There's going to have to be a reckoning with what it is that we do, what we're about, in order to really, really be faithful to who we're supposed to be. And I just don't think that these folks are ready to make that stance.
So, do you think that it is an issue of mm, political loyalty over theological loyalty?
It will be.
You
It
don't think
will
it
be.
is yet?
I don't think that's going to be the main motivating factor. I think for some people it is, but I think overall it will be.
You know what? I really didn't want to
Go
make
here.
this. Yeah, I really didn't want to go here, but since we're here, um, and matter of fact, one of the things I'm going to look up this afternoon is there are some things that are changing in some of the clinical areas,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been this gradual shift from using the word pastoral to the word spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many undertows that are happening in that context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of them is that in the area, which is, of course, my area, which is counseling,
Right.
with the pastoral counseling, there used to be this clearly defined separation of church and state.
Right.
So, what is happening now? I don't know if you're keeping up with American Association of Pastoral Counselors and American um, ACPE. They used to be American Association of Pastoral Education, of Clinical Pastoral Education,
Education. Yeah.
but now they have changed their name to ACPE, the spiritual, the standard in spiritual care and education.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they still use the acronym, but then they've tried to define it more on the spiritual care side. But anyway, those two organizations have joined forces because basically they need each other to survive now.
Right.
Because what has happened in the counseling profession is that now they're saying that they really want to get away from theologically or pastorally trained counselors and allow the clinical counselors to cover spiritual issues. Now, this also means that they don't have to have any kind of specific training um, in theological issues, but it
Right.
also means that they are licensed by the state, which washes the separation of church and state with the issue,
Right.
because then you have a clinician who may be more on the pastoral side. This changes the context in which you interact with people coming in for services, because
Right.
you function at the pleasure of the state license versus
Right.
the theological. Does
That's
that
right.
make sense?
Yes, your God call has nothing to do with what you do. You
Yeah,
function because the state says you can function. So
right.
it
And I hope that what I just said makes sense, because
makes
it,
perfect sense.
well, it makes sense. I know it makes sense to you because you understand this professional trail. But for people that are not in this track, um, I don't know how well that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, you should say it. You should say it more plainly, then, which is the basic thing is, if you don't share the values of the state, whatever those values are,
Right.
then they are trying to figure out a way to ostracize you and make you this other. And
Well,
they want to.
delete. They're trying to delete.
Well, yeah, right. Delete you, but they have to ostracize you first.
You
They
can
got to
still
single us
take the
out first.
title, but your form and function.
Exactly. And they're putting
Yeah.
us. They're putting us in a position to where we're over here. And like you said, to eventually get rid of us. And they're going to have spiritual issues in the hands of people who share the values of the state. What are the values of the
Or
state?
no values.
That's right. The
Or
values of the state are no values. The state has no
right.
values because governments are reflections of someone's agenda, whether it be the voting public's agenda or the leaders. Because some people, some folks vote for representatives. Some communities vote for leaders. The black community vote for leaders. That's why we can have a black church that's against things like gay marriage and against things like abortion, and we vote for people who are for those things. And why can we? Why do we vote for people who are for those things? Because evidently our voting power does not extend to the point that we can have people that represent our values. Why
That's
is that?
that's that's our
Why is there not one single black Democrat that reflects the values of the churches they go into year after year to get votes from? You mean to tell me?
well.
Go ahead.
So historically, what a lot of people don't realize is when they first came up with this, ooh, you can control your family growth.
Well,
Where was one of the first places they went?
hmm,
And I just think when when we started putting down the welcome mat, there's the welcome mat.
so then,
Because before then, they didn't really care. They, as long as we stayed out of their way, they wouldn't really,
right.
you know.
That's the point. The point is, that's why I said we are like leaders. Leaders speak for themselves and tell us to come along. Representatives speak for us, and we
Hmm.
send them to speak for us. Two different things. Usually, you don't elect leaders. You just follow leaders. People don't get this. Leaders lead, and then people follow. That's just how it is. It's not There's not an election process. It's just how it is. Moses was not elected to go get them out of Egypt. Moses said, "Hey, y'all, I'm coming to get y'all. We going. Is you coming or is you ain't?" The folks followed. They voted with their feet. They acquiesced to his leadership. When you have a voting constituency, that's supposed to be that's when you have representation. We don't have representation. There is not a single
Mm.
politician that represents our ideas that claim to be from us. And we need to start saying that. And
That claim. I like how you
mm,
word stuff.
it is what it is. How you got somebody that claim to be what it is you are, but then when it comes to defending the things that you believe in, they will be the most violent, loudest voices against it. We don't have representation. We elect folks that say that they are our leaders, and and we cheer them on.
But are we picking those leaders based on charisma, or are we picking them based on what? Because I'm fascinated with human behavior. I'm fascinated with like why we do what we do, why we make the choices we do, why we prioritize the way we do. Um, why are we doing that?
Because that's what we've always done. We've always done that.
That's what we've. I mean, such a clear answer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This is so not what we're supposed to be talking
Exactly.
about. You know
Let's get
that,
to our
right?
topic.
We
Right.
are just so we're not even on a bird walk. We just took like a whole nother interstate.
No, no, no. Okay. Masculinity and femininity. Let's get to it.
Okay, so I'm gonna start out by going ahead and just probably messing some people up.
Mm.
So in the BIBLE, it's always a good place to start.
Gotta spell it out on Facebook. They might throw you off.
You know what? I think that's what that little pause thing that happens every time when we get started. I believe they check and make sure we ain't doing nothing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just a theory I have. But
Right.
anyway, so in the BIBLE, um, angels are masculine. They are male.
Right.
I like that.
Okay.
And the reason why I like that is because well, first of all, I'm really fascinated with
Okay.
Ezekiel's vision.
Okay.
And so he gives like this awesome description of the angels.
Hmm.
Their wings sound like an army. Their wings sound like the voice of the Almighty. They're tumultuous, and
Hmm.
I mean, I know y'all like the little fat, fat little cherubim looking, but the angels that Ezekiel describes are awesome. They are so awesome.
Go on. Go on.
I'm that's I think that just stands like they're awesome.
So they
They're
are.
awesome.
So they are a reflection. Their power is a reflection of inherent masculinity. Right.
I'm trying to figure out how to dissect with the wording because I feel like there's a hook in what you just said.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not trying. I'm not trying to bait you in.
Okay,
No,
because
no,
you can do that sometimes.
no. I'm not trying to bait you in. I mean, I think that. I think that.
For me, I think it very much is a frame. I think
Okay.
it very much is a frame because even when you get to the what is man that thou art mindful of him,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
that is such a masculine statement even. Like huh, what you want, it's just I don't know. I'm very fascinated because every time you see the angels and you see God's messengers, they are doing something. They are interacting, whether spiritually or naturally.
Mm-hmm.
They are truly God's messengers,
Right.
and they interact in a very specific way. So when you start to try to make angels feminine,
Okay.
you kind of not even water down, but you paint over the way they really are defined in the Bible.
Okay.
Because if you take Ezekiel's, the way Ezekiel describes them and read other places in the Bible where angels are talked about
Mm-hmm.
in that context, it gives you a very different read to see what's going on in the spirit realm.
Okay.
And so that I think has to carry over into the way we look at masculinity
Okay.
in the human context, even though humanity is much more frail.
So let me ask you this question:
Hmm.
are you to some extent saying that the perfect reflection of God's intention for masculinity is embodied by the angels and not embodied by the man that he created originally?
You know what? See, there's that catch. I knew you would come. I knew it was coming.
I mean,
Okay,
okay,
so let me say it this way.
okay.
Genesis, male and female made he them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm going to say I'm gonna just put it out there and I'll let you go with it how you want to.
Uh-oh.
That the Genesis creation
Mm-hmm.
is God's creating something that is in fashioned by his essence.
Mm-hmm.
He put life into humanity, and definitely there is masculine and feminine because you see that in Adam and Eve.
Right.
They are made in God's image.
Okay.
Now, you already know my thought process on that as far as essence versus physical presentation.
Right.
The physical presentation is part of the humanity,
Okay.
but the essence, the spirit, the soul
Mm-hmm.
that is imparted into Adam and Eve to give them life and being
Mm-hmm.
is what is in God's image.
Okay.
And because God can't be um limited
Okay.
to our gender definitions. He is the Almighty, and we refer to him in the masculine because we are in a patriarchal understanding of the text and of culture.
Is that why?
But I'll let you tell me why.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, here's the thing.
Because God, that's limiting. Do we limit God to as much as we can understand? We do it all the time.
But see, the problem with that is this:
Okay.
God gets to make the rules for himself, and if God gets to make the rules for himself, if he then refers to himself or equivocates himself with, you know, masculine masculinity, and he does it because it identifies kind of his power, then it's okay. It's okay. It's really not an issue. I think the problem we're having in in the culture now is we get offended if someone feels quote unquote left out or not represented. I don't think God is concerned about representation. I mean, God is not the God of affirmative action. The affirmative action
Yeah,
God.
I know, right? But I don't know how anyone feels left out. I mean, let me not say that.
You
I
went to
do know
ITC.
I know, right? I do know that people feel left out, but I think that is them dumping some of the social things that they deal with into their theology.
They are dumping their issues into their. But that's what do I always say? Theology says more about you than it does about God. Your theology says more about who you are than it does about God, and people need to start realizing that because, I mean, half the things we do out of selfish reason, most of us wouldn't even believe in predestination if we had made so many dumb decisions in life that we need God to.
Then we need to say it was supposed to be that way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We need God to say, you know, yeah, I did this on purpose. I did this to you. I made you go smoke all that crack all those years, so that I can bring you to this place you are now. So we believe in predestination. I had to smoke all that crack. I had to smoke all that crack. Had them 5 babies by 6 different men, and everything else to give because
Five
God,
baby by 6 minutes. Your math is twisted,
you know,
but okay.
because that's what God wanted me to do. So that theology says more about me than it does about God. You know, because
I'm always fascinated though how people they fix their theology
right,
to fix their fix.
to fix their stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we apply God as a band-aid as opposed to, oh boy, we get ready to get some deep here. We use God as a band-aid. He is not a healer. He is not a fixer. He is a band-aid. All he does is cover up our little boo-boos and makes it feel better, makes us feel better uh, by saying that, hey, I did this.
See, now that's the feminine. That's like making God your nurse.
Sometimes God is your nurse. Sometimes God is the one that
But I'm
cares for
just
you.
saying that mindset
Well, okay,
that you're
well,
describing
all right, that's fine.
is, I mean, because we do know that in God's um, ability to heal and transform,
Right,
yes, in that, but I'm talking about in the context that you're speaking of now,
yeah,
is like we just ring this little bell for God to come,
right, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Right, the servant God as opposed to the God that needs to be served, and it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we do talk about God like as if He's a butler, though. I mean, think about it. Well,
Butler, nurse.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
just
yeah.
all of that because
There's no
um
secret what God can do. What He's done for others, He will do for you. Because he's our do boy God. And very rarely do we talk about. I know people don't like this type of discussion. Check would be great. Um, but we're more invested in how God interacts with us in terms of what He does for us than we are invested in what we do concerning God. And now part of that again, it is theological. Why? Why is it theological? Because we have a whole genre of theology that is anti-works related, right? We're not about works. So anything that's about works is a bad thing. It's a fleshly thing. You can't work your way to heaven. Interesting. I don't
hmm.
know. What I do know is you can't work your way to salvation. However, in my theology, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this says something about me. But I believe that getting saved is free, salvation is free, but living
Salvation is free.
but living saved costs a life. It costs everything. Living saved come with a cost.
It is
You know,
sacrificial.
it is very sacrificial.
It is
Exactly. It is
sacrificial.
sacrificial. You cannot please God without the concept of sacrifice. And so we got to stop making God the do boy God and make God who He is. And so I'm
Allow God to be who He is in
allow
our
God.
lives.
There's a word, allow God.
Yeah.
I'll let you
Yeah.
work with that whole allowing thing.
I mean, but think about it. That's kind of because because until we get past that mindset of what we're going to allow God to do,
Right.
we cannot fully reach surrender.
Okay. Okay. Now talk about that.
Surrender is not something that is on your terms.
And this ain't got nothing to do with masculine and feminine, by the way.
Nothing. Nothing. And I tried to get us there.
No, you
And
didn't. You
I
start talking about
did.
you start talking about angels.
Because they were masculine.
You
They're
said,
males.
yeah,
The angels in the Bible are males with wings and they sound like an army. That's
yeah. All right, all right.
masculine. And
I'm finna get us there right now.
no,
It's
you're
a
not.
Yes, I am. It's a
So,
difference. Hold on, wait.
okay.
We got to get there, Margaret. Listen, it's a
Okay.
difference. It's a difference between men and women, Thank you. They are teaching this homogeneous, generalized sexuality in schools. They're sexualizing our children by making them, decide if they gonna be a man or a female or a
How do you
trans
feel
kid or
today?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Cause what's the actress that has her son, the little black boy that she adopted, walking around in a pink tutu?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean he's probably a teenager now. Last time I saw him, he had on like a blonde ponytail wig and a tutu. And he's a
See,
little chocolate little black boy.
see how we do?
I mean, cute as well. She's non-brown, and I don't know. I have some cultural theories that go
Thank
along
you.
with that.
Thank you so much.
That
Have a
Very
good
much.
afternoon.
Appreciate it.
this. Okay, let me just breathe on that one because that one's a thing for me.
Let's stick with masculine and
Um,
feminine before you started being racist on me.
no, that's not racist. That what It's not racist, but there are some things that happen to black males that don't happen to anybody
You
else.
gonna like this? You gonna like this conversation a whole lot better when I get to the car. You gonna like this a whole lot better when I get to the car. It's about to turn up. It's about to turn up to a whole other level in a second.
So, well, I mean, you cut off my whole surrender to God thing, so I was getting ready to preach to you,
I
but
know you was about to preach, and we supposed to be talking about masculine and
masculine and
feminine.
feminine, yeah, and we ain't, I don't know that we've done that
We
yet.
have not done that.
We have talked about a lot of the background concepts that may be a portion of that,
We ain't talked about masculine and feminine.
but we have not talked about masculine and feminine.
First of all, let me ask you this question. Since we're getting on, we're going to that topic. The first thing is: are masculine things and feminine things, are they social constructs, or are there inherent things that are truly masculine and inherent things that are truly feminine? This is yes or no question.
Inherent, yes.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna
I
tell you
agree.
why. I'm gonna tell you why. I have a whole page of notes that we're probably not gonna get to today because somebody wouldn't let us stay on topic. But one of them I wrote down was about a handkerchief. So when I was coming up, all of the males in my family, my dad, my uncles, they all had a handkerchief, right?
Right.
So I'm surrounded by males and they all have a handkerchief. They all kept a
Right.
handkerchief in their pocket. That was just like a thing back in the day, right?
Right.
Well, so this handkerchief was like this multi-purpose thing, right?
Right.
They wipe their face with it, wipe their hands
Mm-hmm.
with it, blow their nose with it, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And as a
Okay.
child, I was always considered like a tomboy because I've always been active. I like to be outside, I like to be playing, whatever, whatever. So anytime something would come up and there's something on my hands or I scrape my knee or whatever the case may be, here comes
Mm-hmm.
one of those handkerchiefs, right? Because that's what men do. They pull their handkerchief out because it's like this is my save the world tool, right? So the girl in me hated the handkerchief because there's like dried snot on it and there's gook from your eyes in it. And ooh, no, I don't want that. I would rather bleed than you to wipe me off and get the scrape on my knee with your handkerchief. Like the handkerchief was just like this traumatic, nasty thing to me. It was just horribly like, ugh.
You were not a very good tomboy, were you? you, were, you were I think you were. I, you might want to go ahead and redefine that. You didn't quite do the tomboy thing
No,
very
now
well.
I was a tomboy, but there were certain things that were all bets were off. If I broke a
Okay.
fingernail, all bets were off. If I started bleeding, all bets were off.
So you really want a tomboy. You just like to play sports. You just like to go outside because
No,
you're from the country.
no, no,
You just country.
no, no. Like, you know
Nah, you just
what?
country. You just country,
You know
bro.
what? You know what? No, like I was climbing trees and like I was mad when my
Right.
aunt said I had to stop climbing trees and stuff because I was like all out there.
All right, I don't doubt it either. You just country though, Marlon. And so, get, getting to the inherent things that are
You do
women.
know you're gonna get a phone call when this is over, right?
I imagine I might. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. You can say it right now. Say it right now. So, go on, say it, Cletus. Go on, say it. Go on, say it.
I'm gonna call out the whole city of Memphis to tell you about yourself.
Not the whole city. It don't take the whole city. Trust me. They got to get in line if you're gonna do that one. Memphis has got a lot of things to say.
I know,
Um,
right?
you know,
But
but
yeah, so I was a tomboy until I broke my nail or I
right,
started bleeding and then I was
right,
done.
right.
But the handkerchief. So as
Uh-huh.
much as I loved being outdoors and all this, even now, my
Mm-hmm.
rule for doing stuff, because I'll go hiking, I'll do all kinds of stuff. But
Okay.
my rule is I can't deal with my hands being dirty. Like I wash my hands, like you would be like, "Are you washing your hands again?" I can't deal with my hands being dirty. And I've always, that's kind of like always been, there's certain things that have just always been in who I am.
So are you saying that being OCD is an inherent feminine trait?
No.
Oh,
You
okay.
know
Oh.
what? You know what? No, but I'm saying the reason why I use the handkerchief example is because for my uncles, for the men in my family, they
Mm-hmm.
really did not care that there was other stuff on this handkerchief. Like there's something in, because I watch my son even do that. Like he doesn't care this stuff is dirt. Like why'd you just pick that's dirty?
Do you know
Why'd you?
why? Do you know why?
That's maleness.
No, no, no. Because there is a clean spot somewhere on that handkerchief. Oh, listen to you. My grandfather used to carry handkerchiefs all the time. I mean, I imagine that to some extent my father used to carry them a lot. Then these preachers started getting really, really wild. So I think they were athletes and started carrying towels. Uh, you know, I thought it was a preacher
Oh, we're
thing.
not gonna talk. We're not gonna talk about the towels and the alt. We're not gonna talk about them
Yeah,
towels.
right.
Don't get
But
me started about
but
them
what we are
towels.
going to talk about are the differences between men and women and masculine and feminine traits. Because what I want to say is this. Here's the big thing is this. The reason you see these women take on masculine characteristics when they decide that they are going to be lesbians, and I said when they decide that they're going to be lesbians, I said it, is because they want to deal or identify with the stereotypical nature of manhood.
You mean as in authority
No, they want to. I
or
mean, I don't know about authority, but they want to be what they stereotypically think men are.
which is what?
Evidently, there's a stereotype, Marva, because you
Because
see
that's why I
these.
say is it authority.
No, it's more than just authority. It's a way they carry themselves. It's I mean, I know plenty feminine women that ain't lesbians that you know when they get authority, they start acting what they think is authoritative, but they're still very much women. Well, I'm talking about these ladies that decide that they're going to be gay after they had 2 or 3 kids and they strike out with every man that they've ever been with or whatever, or they gain an extra 45 or 50 pounds and decide, well, I
I
don't know,
like how you make
I'm
this a
too
building process to
big,
get there.
I mean, I'm telling you, listen, look,
The
Marva,
building process you taking to get there, man.
Marva, let's just be real. If someone is gay, right? You meet somebody that's gay, and then you meet them, you find out they got, 4 children. This was a recent decision. Somewhere in there, this was a recent decision.
Well, now
Or
I will say this. I do know that there are a lot of people that switch teams because of hurts in their life. And
that's true.
I don't think that's male or female. I know some men who, because they went through such a horrific situation, they just switch. They're like, it's not. We'll just switch teams.
Well, hold on. Now.
Um,
I don't know now. Just to be real for the facts, I don't know a single dude who gave up on women because they had horrible experiences. Now,
I'm
I
just
mean,
telling you
when I
what
say give
they.
up on women, I mean stop talking to them. I know dudes that decide to play women and get revenge on women on all women for something one woman did or what women do to them. But
Well, but I
they
mean,
didn't start
is that
switching
inherent?
teams.
Is that inherent? Because what you're saying is there's a different response mechanism versus if they already had some kind of tendency to make that decision anyway. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, okay, now we talking about something.
I was
Having
just asking.
having these tendencies and things of that nature, certain identifications, things of that nature, encourage people, I think, to, as you said, switch teams. But I think that the emotional responses of men and women are so very different that on the one hand, it makes sense for you to tell me that there are women who decided to leave men alone totally and start talking to women as a result of it because they were hurt. That makes sense to me. By that same token, if you said it to me about a man, my first response is, hold on, brother. You did what? Because you got hurt. Man, please. That's my first response to that. Because if you're a man, you're a man.
You know what? Now I'm a side note, and it's still on this track. I said something. Somebody was listening to I forget what the guy's name is, but he's some singer, and he says in the lyrics of his song that he feels like throwing a fistful of tears. And I said to someone, now, if that is not a man who likes men, I don't know what is. And they looked at me, they looked at me and said, what? I said, there is no masculine way. Like John Henry is not gonna throw a fistful of tears. I said,
Fistful of tears.
if you gotta throw a fistful of tears, you almost have to be walking on your tippy toes to do that. And of course, the person looked at me and they were like, you come up with it. I said, think about it. I said,
I'm gonna
you're not
punch
going
you.
to. I can throw some tears at you. I mean, there's no, you can't even say that and sound like you have some authority.
You
Like,
sound
I'm
hard. Yeah,
throwing tears at you. I
yeah.
mean, there's no way to do it.
Who's writing these R&B songs nowadays? My God,
It's
what?
no, you've heard this song. I'm trying to think.
No, I ain't heard that song.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna send it to you because it's in the song and he's talking about a fistful of tears and I'm thinking,
Where is Billy Ocean at when I need him? I mean, that's a joke on another level. But anyway, the thing is, Barbara, if you're a man, you're a man. You're
okay,
a
but
man, you're a
what
man.
makes you
Of
a
course, now
man?
in
What?
Atlanta, I heard. Okay,
Oh, no,
I'm
we
going to tell
not
you this. This is what
can't
I'm going to say.
talk Atlanta.
Just listen, Marvin. Just listen. When I lived in Atlanta, I was out somewhere at one of the malls. I don't know if it was Cumberland Mall or Lenox or somewhere. And
Oh, if you were
uh,
in Lennox, it's a done deal.
I don't know. But all I know is I heard this dude push this other dude said, I might be gay, but I'm a man. And they was about to square off and they were about to fight. And that's what he said. So I might be gay. Well, he didn't use the word gay, but he used he used the F word. I'm trying to use it because y'all get sensitive about that. I might be but I'm a man. And, so evidently he still retained some of his manhood even though he was engaged in these other activities.
I know some of them that can fight. Now that I mean I don't know,
Did you got
and
in a
that,
fight with him?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, I mean that fight like men post up and fight. Like
Oh, well.
I know some that I have seen some scenarios similar to the one you described where somebody called somebody outside their name and then got dusted
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
person who they thought couldn't dust them.
I mean, I've seen some things before
I've seen
too.
it happen.
I work in a prison. There's this one
Oh, I
dude.
know you see some stuff.
I'm gonna tell you, Mark. I'm gonna tell you, one thing you don't want to do, man, is be the guy who gets caught. This guy, he was in there. and he was acting. I mean, he was acting super hard. I mean, he was acting super hard. And he said something to somebody one time. He said, y'all talk crazy to me. I'm a convict. I'm a convict.
Like everybody in the room is not. Okay.
Man, it's a difference between it's certain levels of this. So my man had been in the penitentiary and all this, that, and the other. Worked his way down. You know. So one day, the convict got caught in the bathroom with the gay Jewish boy. And the convict wasn't so hard no more. The gay Jewish boy messed with a whole bunch of them dudes around there. But he the one that got caught. And so the convict, he still, acted like he was, hard or whatever. But he was much less vocal about it.
He was quietly hard.
Yeah. Yeah. He was much less
Sitting
vocal about it.
sit down over there. Go sit down.
And I seen it, I seen these guys come hide out with the Muslims, something get hide out with the Nation of Islam or something, get found out that they this whatever. Like this one guy, he was at the prison, he was the Nation of Islam, and then we had this transsexual that got arrested and was at the prison. This light-skinned transsexual. Next thing you know, he was following up behind Shem like it was golden. Now this brother right here had the finest wife you want to know. I seen his wife come visit him in his visitation and everything. She was beautiful. But he was following up behind Shem like Shem was the thing. And next thing I know, the Nation of Islam had kicked him out. And I didn't find that out till one Sunday.
Now is that's a hard rule for them, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
For the nation. Yeah.
That's a hard rule in the prison, period. You get caught, you got problems. My man was sitting up in service. I didn't realize he got kicked out. He was sitting up in my service one day, in my church service, while I was preaching, and I made the slick comment. I said, man, must be doing some good preaching. I even got the Nation of Islam visiting me. And so, a few folks started laughing because they knew what was going on and I didn't know. So I saw him at the end of the service. I said, brother, I'm glad you came. Hopefully, you found something that'll help you along the way. I said, I'm not Farrakhan, but hopefully I said something. He said, oh no, I'm not with the nation no more, chap. I'm over here. At home I'm Baptist. I said, oh, okay. And then I found out about the other stuff.
You know what?
Yeah,
Thank you for that pep talk.
We're screwing up this masculine feminine talk. We're screwing this thing up bad.
Thank you for that pep talk.
Marvin, we done screwed this up bad today.
We have taken a wonderful hour and never really
not saying
got
nothing at all. Man.
We did that thing today. We
oh my God.
But now, since you brought up church in the context of this versus that, I have this actually in my notes too. I know how the black church reaches black men. And when I say it, you're going to be like, oh.
Oh, boy. All right, go ahead so I can go ahead and sigh.
You already know. You just hadn't put it in this context.
Uh-oh. How do we do it, Marvin?
Fill that choir stand with them little young girls.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Get them young 17 to 25 in the choir stand.
Yeah.
The men will come to church. Now you got to preach to them when they get there. Keep them interested in something while they're there. Let them learn a scripture or two.
One or two of them.
But them little young girls in the choir stand, they'll come to church.
I take
the Lord
it that
will
when
lay
you
it
were
on their heart to be there.
The Lord will lay it on their heart to be there.
Yeah.
We have failed dramatically today.
I think so. I think we have done a great job at not being on task.
Today has been a humongous failure today.
I mean, Did we even get a scripture? Did we even? I don't even. We don't. I don't think we put out a theological term, a
Not
scripture.
at all. This was terrible. This this was horrible. You should have started
So
talking about no angels flapping their wings and all. You should have started talking about angels. You should have started talking about. I'm gonna blame you, Marvin. I blame you. I blame
what?
Marvin.
Well, get to the back of the line. That line is pretty long.
Down the street, right? Down the street. I feel you, Marvin. I feel you.
Yeah.
That's why I can't let you blame me because mine is wrapped around the corner. So I
Yeah, I
can't let you
mean,
blame me.
seriously, it's raining. See what Marvin did?
It's raining
Marvin made
too.
God mad and he filled the clouds underwater. I'm like, I
Oh
got a lot of
man.
power if I can do all of that. But
Uh,
but
real
so
quick,
anyway.
Marvin.
Uh-huh.
Real quick. I saw your church pictures with you with the church at the Christmas party.
Oh yeah, we had a great time.
Does your church use it? Was that an outreach tool or was that an in-house tool?
I don't know what that means, but we went to play.
Did they have guests or was it just church folk?
No, this was us.
Okay.
This
Okay.
was us. And actually um it was supposed to be, I guess, a week and a half ago, but it snowed the Sunday that we were supposed to do it. And so we
Uh,
ended up not even having service the Sunday because it like iced and snowed and everything the Sunday we were supposed to
oh
do it. So
wow.
they just moved it. So now when you walked in, it said private party. This was us.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, it was I guess it was the church's gift to the congregation or whatever because it was free. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we had a blast.
I'm gonna say these last two things, and I'll be done for the day. You can share what you want to share to close it out. First of the last two things is, I want to say three things. These are all political in nature. I will say more about them later.
Okay.
First thing I'm gonna say is we have $1.80 gas in Memphis. So the first thing I want to say is Trump. $1.80 gas in Memphis. I
Okay.
don't care if it is because the Saudis are trying to buy us off to make us not be mad about them killing that guy. The Saudis kill a lot of people. They do. I know 3 brothers got killed just the other week.
What does this have to do with masculine and feminine?
Nothing. We're done with that. I'm
Nothing.
done.
We never started it. What do you mean we're done with it? We never started it.
I'm done with that today.
We
We'll come
had
back
at
to it
least
later.
4 false starts. At least 4.
At least 4, and then we got to end it. So that's the first thing. $1.80 gas. Go Trump. Next thing, prison reform. It's about 100 to 200,000 brothers that's gonna get immediate release almost because of the
Mm,
prison reform.
mm.
That crack law, which was written by Joe Biden, promoted by Hillary Clinton, and signed by Bill Clinton, all folks that y'all worship at the altar of, that Clinton crime bill killed us. It did more to destroy black men than Ronald Reagan did with all the
Ever,
crack in the world.
ever, ever.
They won't
So
say
now, do
nothing.
you think now there's a couple of I have a couple of questions, and we don't have time for you to unpack them today, but we'll unpack them one day. In that reform,
Mm-hmm.
number one, what that looks like in the South, because I think the South is going to fight that nail and tooth for obvious reasons. And then number two, then you have to deal with what it looks like for um, these individuals coming back into the culture.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some things in place
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are the two topics that at some point we'll get to those. Maybe once we get past masculinity and femininity.
Okay, maybe when we do that. But what I encourage you to do, both of those things are addressed. Let me address the South thing real quick. They have nothing to do with it. It's been passed. through Congress. There was opposition from 14 senators led by Tom Cotton here in Arkansas, and but he was an outlier. Uh, Everything else pretty copacetic on the bill in general. Um, it's been passed, so nobody can fight it. State prisons, that's a different matter. We talk about federal prisons.
That's what
State
I was waiting. That was
state
my,
prisons,
yeah.
they need to do their own reforming. Uh, and here's the biggest reason why all prison systems will be reformed in America pretty soon. The biggest reason is you cannot take a fifth or a sixth of your population, your working age population, put them behind bars, take them out of production, out of productivity, and then at the same time pay for them to live for free for 7 years because of some minuscule crime. Prison reform is going to happen in a large-scale way very, very soon. They got rid of the three strikes law in terms of life sentences. They got rid of that. That's a beautiful thing, and there's more to say about it. But I want to say this again, folks. Y'all sitting around here crying about this, that, and the third. But again, this is Trump. I know y'all don't like him. I know y'all hate Trump. I get it. Y'all hate him. But ain't nobody else was trying to do prison reform. All right. Last thing, enterprise zones, or they call them opportunity zones. If you are a black business owner, there was recently an executive action signed called opportunity zones. Google opportunity zones. Google opportunity zones. Find out what they are. If you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, this is an opportunity for you to get the type of tax breaks and incentives that are going to make you a lot of money if you're a black business owner and a black entrepreneur in certain area codes in the country. So, with that in mind, that's all I got to say. I am a masculine male. I am extra masculine.
He's an alpha male. He talking about extra. He's an alpha male.
Man, when you say
He,
that, that kind of hurts. I can't imagine myself
why?
being, because I am a member of Omega Psi Phi, and it's hard for me to
No,
be
I did not.
anything. I
You know
know,
what?
I know,
You
I
know
know,
what?
I know,
Stop it.
I know.
He's an omega sci-fi, but he knows what I am referring to when I say an alpha male. He is an alpha male. And maybe when we get to talking about masculinity and femininity someday, we'll talk about things like the alpha
Like
male.
alpha male, alphas and betas.
Yeah, the alpha male, but because I seem to be more drawn to alpha males.
Because you were raised by
Like,
your father.
is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah. And plus, you would eat a beta male up. You're a submissive woman, but if you got a beta male, you would eat that poor boy up. Like, he would know what to do. He would lose his mind. But that's a whole different story, Marvin. We'll talk about it.
You know what? If I could throw a shoe at you right now, I
Mm-mm-mm.
would. Cause
Don't
that was just so, like, the
true.
whole rest of this
Oh,
last hour. Yeah, I mean, whatever. But I will say this. I love chivalry. Um and I think you're right. I think it's probably because of how I was raised. Um People used to tease me because I never touched anything, because my dad opened every door, everything. I didn't. So that really kind of was very normalized for me.
mm,
Um,
good father.
yeah, my daddy had his ways, but as far as treating his child well, treating my children well, oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a good man.
So I am an advocate for chivalry. Like, I think I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Can I put that on a t-shirt?
Yes,
I can do that.
I advocate for chivalry. It won't sell any. You won't sell very many, but it's a cool T-shirt to have. Or chivalry advocate. That still got too many syllables.
I'm gonna do both. Maybe I'll send you a mock-up of both of them.
Or something
And
like, "Boy, I like men," on the front,
I
and,
can't wear that.
and on the back that says, "That opened doors for me."
Do you realize? No, I will not wear that.
Oh, okay.
Do you know how problematic that would be?
I guess it might be.
Every time you start talking, I know.
I'm just trying to help, Marla. I want you to, get a T-shirt that's gonna sell. Merchandising.
No, but I'm saying I cannot wear a t-shirt that says on the front of it. What? What did you say?
Boy, I like men.
Yeah, no, I'm not wearing that. ...
On the back. ...
It doesn't matter if they're dots or
Who
not.
opened? All right, we gotta go.
See, you all don't understand. See, David knows what life was like for me in Atlanta, and let me tell you, as quiet as it's kept, there are
Jesus.
heterosexual men who likes women's in Atlanta.
They like
There,
women's.
there are some great men in Atlanta. So the what 3 years that we lived in Atlanta? Was
Uh,
that three? We there 3 years?
yeah, 3, yeah.
So the 3 years. So David. So he's coming. He knows full well that it's some stuff I can't wear on a t-shirt.
No, you can't. No, you can't,
I
Marla.
like men. I wish I would go outdoors with a t-shirt on that said I like men.
Oh
No.
yeah. I think in
Golly.
Atlanta, I did have a T-shirt that said "I like women,"
Well, but
or
that's different. That's so
or
different.
or maybe since I was just one of the few heterosexual guys there, I just had a lot of attention because there wouldn't, but there ain't but 12.
I mean, but Atlanta, it's like 30 to 1 or something.
Oh
If
yeah.
when we were there, what was 15,
Oh
20 years
my
ago,
God.
it
Oh.
was 30 to 1. So that was before you counted out the ones that didn't like women's. So
Mm.
it's probably 55 to 1 or something now.
Oh my God. I'm trying to tell you, don't do it, truck, because I ain't going nowhere. Don't do it. I'm right here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry. I talk to the truck. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so chivalry advocate, or I advocate for chivalry. I think chivalry advocate is better. Don't you think so?
That might be good. That's right. You could
I
call
think
yourself the
chivalry
CA
advocate.
from now on. The CA could be your call initials from now on. I am the
No,
CA,
no,
chivalry advocate.
no,
No, oh, okay,
no. That's
all
not
right.
gonna work.
That's not
Okay,
gonna work.
so next week we'll try again, you guys. We're gonna next week we will attempt to discuss masculinity and femininity, which I hope will lead us into identity politics, and I hope that it will also lead us into these current agendas about the toxic. There's this thing called toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, because how dare you be masculine and how dare you be feminine. So I hope we'll get to those next week. Um, and what else? I think that ties us up for everything that we didn't talk about today.
Yeah, but we supposed to we got to circle it back to the relationships too.
Well, if we ever define them, I mean, because part of the biblically defining them is in the context of relationship. But since we never actually really defined them, we never made it there.
Merry Christmas, country.
You know?
Merry Christmas, Bob.
Oh,
I'm finna go into this office right quick. I'm running a little bit late.
yeah. Okay. So, everyone have a wonderful Christmas. And
Hey,
if David and I can coordinate schedules, we will be on task next week.
we will.
And we'll still be trying to get around to masculinity and femininity
We're
because
gonna
we
get
didn't
there.
do that today. We didn't do that
No,
today.
didn't do anything good today. Today was terrible.
Yeah. It's probably great because we covered a lot of stuff. It just wasn't what we were supposed to cover.
It just wasn't on topic. That's right.
All right. So
All right.
till next week, may the Lord
Lord,
watch
watch
between me
between
and
me and
thee
thee
while we
while
are
we
absent
absent, run from
one
another.
from another.
Doses!
Peace.